If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. Here are 2 examples of failure with Anubias rot, but there has been a lesson learned, and I want to share that lesson with you, and the lesson is this. If you get Anubias rot, the Anubias can survive, but you have to take some action. You can see right here, this is a prime example. This is old golden coin rot. This plant was hit with Anubias rot badly. What did we do? We took the plant and we grew it up out of the water. Let the plant dry out. I put it in full sun. I recommend if you have the ability to do so, do the same. The Anubias rot isolates, but it will not kill the entire plant. In fact, this plant right here has new growth coming off of it. So we know that despite having some rot, this plant is healthy, and if you look at that rhizome, that is healthy, but the rot just needs to be outcompeted, or the plant just needs to be energized by getting new growth. So there's the remnants of the old rot on there, and then there's the new growth coming on there. So what we do is we take it like this, and we grow them here in this little tray. I can adjust the flow, and what I do is once a day I come by and I splash them. It doesn't work on the weekends, but give them a little bit of water. The problem is that I cannot manage these all the time, and they just get a little too hot and it dries it out. You can see some dried out Anubias here. You can see some dried out Anubias here with new growth, but you can see dried out Anubias here. So we're drying it out a little too much. So we know that if we dry out the Anubias, this is a primo example of it. If we dry out the Anubias rot, the plant will live on, and the plant will decide, hey, I'm gonna grow over this way. So this is Dunzo, this is new growth. So what's the solution? How do we keep our Anubias from rotting, but also keep it wet enough? Answer, this dome right here. This could be a total failure, but if you're not failing, you're not trying new things, you're not trying hard enough. This is a new Jetto humidity dome by yours truly. And everything is a prototype. If I get one little bit of a win from this, I'll modify it and go another way. I can already tell that I should use 1 piece of this plastic instead of 2. But here's what we're trying to do. We want to have it grow up out of the water, but we also want to keep it wet. This is some Anubias that had some tiny bit of Anubias rot on here. This one actually looks pretty good and is doing just fine. But some of these other ones have been smashed with Anubias rot, and I've got nothing to lose. Right here is a prime example. This plant is falling off of the rhizome as I point to it with my spray gun, falling off the rhizome. However, up here at the top, we have new growth. So I believe that all we need to do is cut that here, and we'll have an entirely like rot-free plant. Just kind of simply remove this part, and right here we'll have this. So the purpose of this dome, forget this piece, it has the rot. Let's try to grow this one by itself. What you see is the new growth on top. That's the key element here. The plant is living on, it's growing in a different direction. There's 1 piece of new growth there, and there's another one, little something, want to be starting something right there. So we can tell that the plant is gonna be okay, but it's got this rot part. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna keep it in this dome right here, and I'm just gonna leave them alone. And in this dome, what I can do is I don't need much more humidity, but I need some. So I'm gonna spray this down all over the place with the spray wow. You're gonna be saying wow. And I'm gonna keep these just a little bit humid, and my hope is that I can keep this humidity level high. And this is also based on the experiment and success I've had in the Crenum Skank Dome. So between these two, I'm on to something. I gotta just keep the humidity in here, keep it sealed up good, and I'm still working on sealing it up. But if I can keep this just a little bit humid while keeping these plants above in the CO2 rich atmosphere in here and keep humidity levels high, I think I can grow the heck out of some Anubias up out of the Anubias rot. The variable that I'm concerned about is how humid is too humid to where the rot will still live, because in the other setup I had it in full sunlight and it was able to dry out all the rot and the plant was able to produce beyond that. But I just don't have that variable between how dry and how humid the plant needs to be dry enough to outgrow the rot, but be humid enough to when new leaves come off, they continue to grow. So that's why we're experimenting with this dome right here.